In this video, I'm going to show you how to finish up your roof plan. Here's what a finished roof plan might look like. And even though your roof is going to look a lot different, here are some things that are commonly shown. Number one, we can see the slope of the roof. And we can see the direction as well as the actual pitch, 6/12 in this case. Down here you can see I've got a lower slope, that's 4/12, and over here I've got a 10/12. And again, in all instances, the direction that the water would shed is being shown. Okay, the other thing is that you see all these red lines. That's an indication of where the exterior walls are positioned. It tells us what is actually holding up the roof here. How is it being supported? In this case, there are walls all the way around the perimeter holding up that portion of the roof. Over here in the garage, I've got perimeter walls again. And underneath this porch, there happens to be a beam. This is called out as a beam, and it happens to have double lines. That won't always be the case. There are many ways that you can show what a beam is supposed to be. And it can be double lines, or in our case, we're going to do just a thicker dashed line that will have a different dash than what you see here. Okay, what else does it have? It's got some text notes, and it's got some boxes. And these boxes are actually roof vents, and they allow the attic to exhaust all of its air so that we don't get mold and we can have air circulating in there. This house also happens to have a chimney on top. A lot of your houses won't have that or don't need to have that. And then the last thing you might see is something like this, an indication of what the overhangs are. So this has just a 1'6" overhang. And there may even be a note that talks about that overhang distance, but I guess not in this one. I'll probably have you guys put one in yours. Okay, let's go back now and look at a roof plan that isn't finished. This happens to be the very one that we did together in class as an experiment. You don't need to do anything to your experimental roof. Once you've modeled the roof, you're good to move on from that project. So everything that I'm going to show you here, I want you to do in the house project that you're developing from the one that we started based on the house you chose at the beginning of the semester. So go into that roof plan, open it up, and you might have things like these showing up, and you might have section markers showing up. So maybe the first thing we should do is hide those. Okay, so I would select one of them, and then I'm going to type in on my keyboard VH, which means category hide. It's a way of hiding not only that one tag, but everything else that's in the same category. You could also do it by right-clicking, and you'll see hide in view by category, and it's gone. Same thing with this, right-click. We'll say hide in view by category. Now that's gone. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is start drawing those lines around our perimeter. Now in Canvas, there's something that I want you to go find in modules under roof plan. There's a roof legend file. And if you click on it, it'll open this page. There's instructions in here with what to do, but I'm also going to just show this in the video. And the first thing you want to do is download the roof legend. Okay, once it's downloaded, we will open it. I think mine's this yellow one here. And I'm going to select this for now. Control C for copy. I'm going to go into my other project. I'm going to open up the sheet where the roof plan will eventually go. And you can see my roof is in here on that sheet. I don't know why I didn't place it, but it's probably just the default way of doing things. Okay, and actually I take that back. I've got a quicker way. Let's just go into the roof plan and we'll paste right here. Okay, so again, I've just selected this. I'm going to do Control C for copy, go into my roof plan, and Control V for paste. Okay, we'll just paste that in right here for now. Okay, and what that does is it gives me access to these lines. I can start drawing with them, and you can see that the legend tells me this line represents a load-bearing wall. This line represents a beam. This, which is not showing up, represents an ice barrier. And we do need that to show up. It won't show up here, so there's a setting I need to change to make it appear. I'm going to type in VV for visibility graphics, and then I'm going to search detail items. And just so you know, visibility graphics is a way of hiding things or unhiding them. If I tell detail items to appear, with visibility. I just check the box. Then my detail items will turn on. And just to give you another idea of how this works, if I were to go to roofs and deselect that box, all my roofs would turn off. And I can do that with anything. You know, I can do that with walls. I can do it with whatever shows up in this list. In this case, we turned detail items on, and that's all we wanted to do. So I'm going to click OK, and we got this little gray thing that shows up right there. And that's our ice and water shield, which is something I'm going to have you place around the house where it's needed. It's a code requirement to have this, like down here at your eaves, where water can build up and turn into ice and cause problems to the structure. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do first is show those walls by using this load-bearing wall line type. And to begin, we want to be able to see the walls. So we'll go down to our graphic display options and turn it to wireframe. Now I see the walls. I'm just curious if what happens if I turn on my first floor? Would I see the walls that way too? No, I don't. Okay, so let's not do that. Let's leave it set to wireframe. And we just want the outside perimeter of these walls. So I'm going to select this line. I'm going to do CS for create similar. Then use pick lines, because that should allow me to simply click on the edge of the walls and their lines will show up. We'll go all the way around the perimeter. We may have some cleanup to do later on. Every house is so different that you never really know what you're going to get in the end. Okay, I got that one and this one. All right. And then over here we would do the same thing because there are 3 walls down here. And then we're not going to pick up the porch just yet. I'm going to go ahead and just turn this off so that we see where those walls lie. Just like this. Okay, and then I want to do the same thing for the structural beams. And to do that, we would have to turn this back on. Whoops, not that one, only this one. Wireframe, and I'm going to choose this line this time, create similar. And structural beams, we would technically want to go right down the center of the beam. And now we're showing that there's not necessarily a wall there, but there is a beam. Like that. Okay, and don't worry about like how far do I go? Should I extend this all the way to the column? We're just giving the contractor an idea of how this roof is supported from this view. And this is really a basic rudimentary idea that we're giving them. So they would be able to figure this out even if you made a slight error here. We're going to do it to the best of our understanding. Okay, so now according to my legend, these are my walls that hold up the roof. These are my beams that hold up the roof. And we're ready to start placing some of those roof slopes. So to do this, I'm going to go annotate, and we'll use the spot slope tool. And you'll notice that initially when you do this, it's just going to give you a number like 9, right? And it will point in the proper direction, but 9 isn't what I want to see. I want this to say 9/12, because that's how pitch is determined. So I'm going to go to edit type, and I'm going to scroll down until I find the units format, and we'll change the units to rise over 12 inches. I believe that will do it. Okay, while we're here, we're going to change one other thing. That arrow leader line is just too big. It's 1 inch. I'm going to make it 0.5 inches instead. Half inch. There we go. And that did it. You can see how that worked. Okay, I'm going to create similar now, and I'm going to start placing this on every single roof surface. We're not going to leave anything to chance. We don't want our contractor to have to guess anywhere. Even over here, where I've already got the roof labeled, I might as well add in another one just to make it easier. Okay, 9/12 here. And then down here we'll do the same. And I don't mean to imply that your roof should necessarily be 9/12 everywhere, right? Remember, you can change it just by selecting it and then going over here into properties, and I could change this one to a 6/12, And you can see that my numbers updated, and as well as the appearance in the back of the house. You need to find something that looks good. 812 is a really common slope because it looks really nice, but it's not so steep that it's hard to get up on the roof. By the time you get to like a 1012, it's really hard to stand on that roof. And 912 is just Revit's default, which is weird because nobody ever does 912. I've never seen a house with 912. But for right now, to keep things simple, I'm going to leave it. Okay, and then I've got a 312 all the way around the porch. And that part is now complete. That part's done. Okay, the next thing we would do is this ice and water shield. And I'm going to select it over here once again, do create similar. This is called a detail component. So to place it, you're going to place it almost like you would a line. And if it goes to the wrong side, you can either flip it around by using the mirror command here. I first select my ice and water shield, then I go to the mirror command, and then I just go pick this line, and that will flip it. When you do that, make sure that copy is not selected. Okay, and one problem here is that it's kind of covering up the walls, the black lines around my roof, and it's covering up my red lines. So we're going to do something to make this transparent. Okay, we'll go back into Visibility Graphics. We'll find Detail Items one more time, and we'll turn on the transparency. And I can't remember what I would prefer here, so I'm just going to try 40% and see how it looks. And hit Apply. Yeah, that looks great. I think 40% is perfect. So you can hit OK. Okay, and then I put it over here because that's the bottom portion of the roof. So again, it's where all the water is going to drain to. And that's really what I'm looking for. Anywhere the water would drain. It drains to valleys. These are valleys. And it drains to eave edges right here. So I will create similar, CS for create similar. I'll put one here. And the other way that you can make it flip around, a better way, is actually to delete it and create it one more time, create similar, and draw the other direction. So last time I drew from top to bottom. This time I drew from bottom to top. So here I should go from top to bottom, and that will put it on the right side. There we go. Here, I don't know. Let's just do a short test. Okay, I want to draw from right to left. CS for create similar. Right to left puts it on the side I want. Got a little bit here. I'm going to put it also in this valley. And if it's too big like this, whoops, just select it and go over here and see what else you got. Oh, I don't have any other sizes, but you can create another size. You can go Edit Type and Duplicate, and I'll call this one 2 feet, and then change the size of it to 2 feet, the width, and that'll shrink it down a little bit. And then I'll make this also the 2-foot option, like that. These don't overlap very well because they're transparencies. So when they start to overlap, you're going to see it in a darker shade where they touch. And I'm not going to be picky on that. I don't care. If they overlap, and it's fine. But this shows that we've got ice and water shield in our valleys, and we've got it on the low point of all of our eave edges, at least on the back of the house, right? I got to keep going here. Okay, now this time I want to draw, I was going to say the other way, but I didn't do it the other way. Okay, left to right, that'll put it up above. And it helps to look at this while you're doing it, because it would be wrong to put it out here. Water just drains from that edge, but down here is where I need it. So it really helps to just look and see where are my low edges. Okay, and then we'll do it here. And on this side over here. And when you get to a point where it turns the corner, you want to go back further so that it looks like it's seamless all the way through, just like that. I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll start it right here, run across, and that looks good like that. Okay, I got another valley. So why don't I come up and then back down? Put that in the wrong spot, but I can just shift it. Might need to pull that back if I don't want too much overlap. Change those to be the 2-foot width. And technically you don't have to do this out here on a deck. You know, code doesn't require that, because if water were to get underneath the shingles and start causing damage, it wouldn't get inside the home. So damage would be minimal. But even still, if it were my house, I'd be like, put it on there. You know, I don't want to repair that deck out there if I don't have to. Okay, so we've got our roof. We've got lots of labels going on now. We've got a legend that tells us what everything is. And one of the last things is we've got to put in a dimension to show how wide is this eave. So the way I do this is I go to the dimension tool, which is here, or DI. And I'm going to add that. I'll pull this out because it's hard to see. And I'm going to add a little bit of text underneath here. By double clicking on the actual number, it brings up this box, and right below there I'm going to say T in caps TYP, which means typical. And typical is a way of saying our overhangs are all 1 foot. The typical size is 1 foot. Okay, but I will still go add some more of these, just kind of randomly. You know, I want to show that it's a 1 foot overhang. And then in a few of these spots, I'm going to come back. Oops, I didn't do that one right. Let's do that again. And maybe it's better even to do this. Yeah, this is what I would prefer. TYP UNO. And that means typical unless noted otherwise. Unless noted otherwise is a way of saying they're all 1 foot, unless there's a spot where I label it something else. And in that one spot, it would be something else, but only there. Okay, so let's just put on more of these. They don't take very long. They're really easy to do. So I don't have to do it everywhere, but I want to put enough in that it's easy to find. Here it looks like I've got something different. I wouldn't do 1 foot 2 1/4. I'd just move the line 1 foot 2, like that. Same thing here. 1 foot. Oops, 1 foot 2. And watch what I'll do on this one. Oh, if I can select it. Darn it. There we go. I had to use tab to select it. Okay, on this one I'll say typical at beam, because this is a different size, but it's always going to be the same size for my beams. It's always going to be the 1 foot 2. So that would be, you know, this side's already taken care of because I said typical at beam. Maybe let's add one here. And a few more of these. I'm just going to say typical. Have to hit tab to select that. Grab the grip, pull it out. Double click if you can. These can be stubborn. Yep, stubborn. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to say typical again. Pull that back in a little bit, and maybe I'll get one more typical towards the front of the house. And then I've just made it really easy for my builder to see this. Typical. And find what the overhang is. Okay, and then the last thing that we have to do is we've got to show some vents. And if I do a Google search of roof vents, I'll find something that you've probably seen and didn't pay enough attention to really register what it was. So this is a roof vent, and if with any luck I can find one that's even up on a roof. These things are scattered all over roofs, and they're little boxes that allow air to go up inside and then exhaust outward without letting water get inside the roof. So if I could find a really good picture, I'd show you, but let me pause the video and I'll find one. Yeah, this picture right here is perfect. Actually, a lot of them are. A lot of them are. But what happens inside of your attic is heat comes up because you're heating the space below. So hot air kind of accumulates up here, and then it will hit in the wintertime. It'll hit a really cold surface, and it will start to condense. It'll drop its water, and then you've got actual water, not just vapor or not just moist air. You've got actual water inside your attic, and that's got to dry out somehow. So we actually include openings down here in the eaves, and I can show you what that looks like too. Perforated soffit. This is a soffit right here. That's soffit material, and the perforated means that it's got lots of little holes in it. So the air is able to go in here freely, and then here's your roof vent, and you can see that there's an opening in the roof, so air just can freely find its way out. Hot air always rises, so it's going to cause air to kind of get pulled through here, and then the air will go up inside the vent and then down out the bottom or out the sides. It'll go below, and then it will exhaust outward. And again, they're set up to where water doesn't get in, but you've got to have quite a few of these on the back of your house. And let's see, place all I've said in my notes is that we want to place the VTRs and other types of vents in inconspicuous locations, so preferably on the back of the house. We don't want to see these if we don't have to from the front of the house. Okay, the way that you create them is I'm going to do a detail line, DL for detail line. Got a little box here. And I don't want this to be red anymore, so beam line is wrong. Whoops, I accidentally selected my roof. Let's turn off the select elements by face, and now I can select it without selecting the roof. Okay, I'm going to change the line style to 1. Or you may not have that. You might want to go to thin lines. Just thin lines like that. Okay, and then let's make the size right. Right now it's 1 foot by 1 foot. That's a little big. I'll change it to 9 inches by 9 inches. Okay, select all those lines, and we will group them with this button, Create Group. You can give it a name if you want, but you don't have to. I'll do this is called a static vent, just because it doesn't move. It just stays in place. It's not, it doesn't have any like rotating parts like a wind mobile. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to copy this over. And a really cool way of copying that I haven't shown you guys yet is the array command. And the array command is right here. So I'll say array, and make sure that the linear array is active. You can change this number to like 6. Make sure that last is also active. And then you're just going to pull this over, and what the last means is it's going to put 6 total vents, and wherever you clicked was the last one, so it will place the copied ones in between. Okay, and this is cool because I can respace them if I need to. I can select either end and respace it. I can click on the number here and change it to 5. I think I liked it at 6, so I'll leave it there. And then let's put in a little note to finish this out. And the note is just a way of labeling the work that we've done, since somebody might look at this and go, I think that's a vent, but I don't know for sure. So we will come up to the text command, change your leader style to be curved. Make sure that the text is set to 1/8 of an inch. If you don't have that, a 3/32 would work too. And then I'm going to click right here, pull back, and I'll put a note in that says provide attic ventilation as per IRC, and that's the International Residential Code is what IRC means. And then after you've done that, you can just hit escape and then pull this back so that you can make it kind of a nice block of text. You know, ventilation could go up or down. I guess it wouldn't really matter. but it's better than having a great big line of text that gets too strung out. Okay, and then anything else that you feel is sort of different that you ought to label, in your plan. And by different, I just mean somebody couldn't look at it and really tell what was going on. I don't really have much in mine. There's not really anything here that I can see to label. I guess I could do another one of these attic vents back here, because since this is like its own thing, it's got its own attic, right? The attic over this room is not connected to the attic over this room. Sorry, the attic. So I would need to vent this separately. And now that these are all clustered together, because I used the array command, I should be able to select one of them, and then I'll do create similar, CS for create similar. Looks like it worked. And we'll do that again. And this time I will, I'll go to my text command, put this in one more time, and I'll just say static ridge vent. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be good enough. That's all that I should need. Okay, we want to now just grab this, pull it over. Let's look at our roof plan sheet, which is what we opened earlier. But if I go to sheets here, I should be able to find a roof plan. And I can drag this around to where I like the position of my roof plan on the sheet. I can take that roof legend and just kind of move it around so that it's close to the house. We don't want it to be too far away. Or maybe you don't have room. Maybe your house is really big and you just don't have room to put it side by side. You could take this legend and put it above or below, anything like that. And then last of all, we've got to reposition our roof plan title. To do so, I would go and select the roof itself, and then you'll get grips on either side of the roof plan title. And I need to pull mine in quite a bit. Okay, then click out in white space so nothing is selected. Then just click and hold so that you drag this roof plan. And I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to lengthen it just a little bit. And we have ourselves a roof plan ready to be submitted. Okay, I'm going to pause and just check out the rubric and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, sure enough, that's it. So at that point, you're ready to go create a PDF out of this. A quick reminder of how to do that wouldn't hurt. So if you don't need to see this, go ahead and shut down the video. But if it's helpful to you, the way I create PDFs, I click on this button up here. You want to tell it where to save this and give it a name. We're going to do this on an 11 by 17, which is half the size of the sheet that's set up according to our title block out here. This is actually a 22 by 34, so we want to choose the size as 11 by 17. We want to change that to be 50% because we're cutting the page size in half. So make sure it says zoom 50. Okay, I like to have scope boxes, crop boundaries, and reference planes all hidden, so I check these boxes and unreferenced view tags. I like to do vector processing, so that's it. Then you just click export and it'll generate the PDF wherever the location is set to. You can browse and find a new location if you want. Then you would go open up that PDF and you would send it to the printer at 100% size. So you wouldn't want to do fit to page, you'd want to do zoom 100% when you open the PDF. Okay, and that's everything. Good luck.